Hebrew word study. For this assignment, I chose to study the Hebrew word mishpat. In Pelt's Biblical Hebrew, a compact guide, mishpat is defined as judgment, decision, ordinance, law, custom, with 425 occurrences in the Hebrew Bible. In Theological Wordbook of the Old Testament, there is a note to C number 2443C. That entry says that the word mishpat, a derivative of shpat, judge, govern, means justice, ordinance, custom, manner. It goes on to explain that in the over 400 occurrences, there are at least 13 related but distinct aspects of the central idea, justice, with 3 subgroupings. A. The judicial side of government. 1. The act of deciding a case of litigation brought before a civil magistrate. 2. The place of deciding a case of litigation. 3. The process of litigation. 4. A case of litigation, i.e., a specific case brought to the magistrate. 5. A sentence or decision issuing from a magistrate's court. 6. The time of judgment. B. Authority. 7. Sovereignty, the legal foundation of government in the sense of ultimate authority or right. C. The legislative side of government. 8. The attribute of justice in all correct personal civil administration. 9. An ordinance of law. 10. A plan. 11. A custom. 12. A fitting measure taken. 13. One's right under law, human or divine. The Englishman's Hebrew and Chaldee Concordance of the Old Testament offers these translations for mishpat: cause and the cause of, my cause, the cause of, their cause, the ceremonies thereof, according to his charge, crimes, according to the custom, and according to their deserts, my determination, to discretion, with discretion, the disposing thereof, due, equity, according to the fashion thereof, both according to their fashions, the fashion of it, according to their form, are judged, judgment, judgments, according to judgment, according to my judgments, according to the judgments of, according to their judgments, after the judgment of, all the judgments of, also in my judgments, and from judgment, and from thy judgments, and his judgments, and in judgment, and in my judgments, and judgment, and judgments, and my judgment, and my judgments, and of thy judgments, and the judgments, and thy judgment, and thy judgments, by judgment, for the judgment, from thy judgments, her judgment, his judgments, in judgment, in the judgment, in thy judgments, into judgment, judgment for me, my judgment, my judgments, neither my judgments but, of judgment, on judgment, the judgment of, the judgments, their judgments, thy judgments, to judgment, with judgments of, just and justice, justly, a law, lawful, is lawful, that which is lawful, manner, according to the manner, according unto the manner, according unto their manner, after the manner of, after the manners of, after their manner, and according to the manner thereof, and manner, as the manner, his manner, manner of law, the manner of, the manner thereof, in measure, order, according to the order, according to their order, after the due order, according to thine ordinances, and an ordinance, mine ordinances, or after their ordinances, the ordinance of, the ordinances, right, and the right, but right, by right, my right, the right from, the right of, to be right, sentence, my sentence, as thou usest to do, worthy of, worthy to. 65 of these occurrences are in the book of Psalms, 40 in Isaiah, 37 in Ezekiel, 35 in Deuteronomy, 31 in Jeremiah, 23 in Job, and 20 in Proverbs. The entry for this in the New Brown, Driver and Briggs Hebrew and English Lexicon of the Old Testament indicates that the root word shpat is a verb meaning judge, govern. The third definition provided there includes the full word mishpat, citing Zechariah 7:9 as one example of its usage, in which the definition is 3. Executing judgment, a. discriminating of man only. The Tanakh on Sepharia provides the translation of this word in this verse as justice. Thus said the Lord of hosts, execute true justice, deal loyally and compassionately with one another. Lamentations 3:59 provides the additional meaning of mishpat as vindicating. The Tanakh on Sepharia provides the translation of this word in this verse as my right, immediately after the word shpat, which is translated vindicate here. You have seen, O Lord, the wrong done me. O vindicate my right. The New Oxford Annotated Bible describes the language of Lamentations 3:58-60 as legal language, with the poet casting himself as a plaintiff in court where God will judge him innocent and the enemy guilty. Merriam-Byers' article on Lamentations 3 describes verses 55-66 of this chapter as difficult, representing either further hope and trust in Yahweh's saving action, or further demands that Yahweh see and attend to the central character's plight. Ian W. Provan's article tells us that in verses 59-61 we read of God's seeing and hearing present distress without yet having acted to relieve it. The author pleads that he would now act, indicating that the two aforementioned words together mean, judge my cause. The Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament tells us that mishpat is found not only in biblical and post-biblical Hebrew, but also in Ugaritic and Phoenician, with the meaning of government, authority. Several semantic variants are described, emphasizing that we cannot separate the consideration of this word's basic meaning from the basic meaning of the related verb shpat. This source describes the focal point of meaning as clearly in the realm of justice, judgment, and law, while acknowledging that in some texts the meaning of decision is sufficient, and in others the meaning of claim, demand is indicated. I was especially struck by the connection between theological stances and translations of words, with an example provided that modern liberation theology points us towards the mishpat of the poor as the starting point for biblical interpretation. This was a refreshing and hope-filled statement which reminded me of Christ's constant concern and compassionate care for the poor. It's easy to see that different starting points will lead to different conclusions in the process of any word study or translation. I am learning to be careful in choosing commentaries, understanding that each commentary and interpretation will necessarily adhere to a particular theological view. The Old Testament includes instances of mishpat in situations involving oracles and casting lots, jurisprudence, right, law, custom, and moderation. In considering jurisprudence, one of the general cases mentioned is Proverbs 29:4. By justice a king sustains the land, but a fraudulent man tears it down. The explanation provided in the Theological Dictionary of the Old Testament is helpful here. By mishpat, a king gives stability to the land. Bottervik goes on to say that the general sense of administration of justice suggests itself in this verse. This is a very helpful word picture in understanding this instance of mishpat, that when God's mishpat is present, the land itself will be less turbulent and more stable. Since the casting of lots is quite foreign to me, I was grateful to read that caution is advisable in proposing the reaching of decisions as the basic meaning. It was also significant to me to read that the plural form of mishpat refers to the individual commandments as well as the summary of the entire law. Moses, or God in person, commanded, gave, spoke, set, declared, and taught these laws. This understanding helps me to be more confident and hopefully more competent in participating in the ongoing conversation about mishpat texts. Doing this word study has helped me to expand my understanding of the necessity to proceed with a high level of attention to detail and carefulness when attempting to attach specific meaning to a particular Hebrew word. There are so many considerations to keep in view, including, but not limited to, the basic meaning of the word, context, origin and history of the word, component parts, and related words, the broad, comprehensive and differing aspects, subgroupings, and categories of possible meanings highlight the necessity of understanding all of these considerations when attending to a particular usage of the words. I hope to be able to continue learning to apply the principles of careful exegesis and utilizing the best tools available.